Making a video that I probably shouldn't have to make in something called a rational civilization, but yeah, we don't have one of those. So, I posted I read a blog post on PhysicsForums.com and on magnetism. And decided I would post a response in the sense that I think the guy left out a couple of points that are really important. And so I made a very polite description of, I think, making the argument that was rather simple, that you really can't diagram something that has 4 different kind of interactions going on in this two-dimensional kind of way, black and white. You need dotted lines or some other kind of form of representation. You really can't describe what a magnet's doing by just drawing field lines or radial lines. It's a little deeper than that. And perfectly within the Maxwellian model, actually referencing Maxwell in the video, in terms of Maxwell didn't know what magnetism was. Current physics doesn't know what it is. They have no clue. They have a vague notion that something called a virtual photon is involved. So I described a force moving the speed of light, pretty much describing a virtual photon. Nothing way out, nothing too bizarre. Sorry, just looking for my inbox. And they described what I posted as, while reviewing your post, we found you are promoting content that is false or misguided. And then they go on to say, you have to be consistent with published papers and stuff. There's no published papers explaining field lines. That doesn't exist, because they don't have a theory of exactly how the force is generated or exactly what it is. So it's amazing, even when they are completely ignorant on a subject where they haven't even figured it out, they force you to be compliant to some just vague notion that they have, and you can't be more specific than they are, because that's implying that their vague notion isn't correct, that the real universe isn't vague. Amazing. And so they can speculate. All they do it's in the article, speculation, but nobody else can. So they have a thing like comment. What am I supposed to say in the comment? Thank you, Minister Farrakhan. I mean, what am I supposed to say? Yeah, thank you for preaching at me, giving me a sermon that I can't possibly raise my hand and say, maybe that didn't happen. Just amazing bullshit. So just like the Slack exchange, whatever, 3 years or a few ago, 3 hours. They deleted it in 3 hours. That's how afraid they are. I mean, they're such cowards. They won't even allow their viewers to see that there's some alternative perspective. They won't even allow knowledge of it. They won't even allow people to voluntarily say, oh, maybe I'll comment on that. Maybe that's an interesting subject, or maybe that's an interesting point. They won't even allow them to see it. It's just so pathetic. And again, the video does nothing but provide a perfectly reasonable explanation. Like I say in the video, even if you don't take it, even if you just take it as a model, a way of modeling the force, it's an accurate description of what we know the force does. And it's a perfectly rational explanation for why field lines are formed by iron filings that are trapped, that are not allowed to just move into the magnet. So just so desperately pitiful. So I will title this video something offensive to physicists, because they are just dickless cowards. They're so pathetic. Their argument, their own. Obviously, they're doing that from weakness. It's only weak people that do this fascism stuff, right? Like the nutty Muslims. They have to have jihads against free thought, because they know that any free thought will allow somebody to figure out that their theory is garbage. And so only the desperate fanatic has to run from the argument this desperately. Has to hide the fact that they might have an incomplete theory, you know, that their theory might suck. And that's all these are. These are just jihadist fanatics who you know, just so limp, so weak. Their position is so weak. So all they can do is go out and find lunatic flat earthers to attack, but they're afraid to have their own position analyzed or scrutinized. They are such cowards. Ugh. So, it's just pathetic. I defy anybody to point out anything I said in the video that was at all beyond credulity, beyond something that was a perfectly reasonable or credible, perfectly consistent with every single piece of evidence in existence. I said nothing that challenges the evidence at all. Just horrible bullshit. But that's what's out there. That's their desperation, and you can see it in the downgrading of my videos. You can see it in their putrid inability to make a rational comment to a single thing I say. Again, why did somebody point out how anything I said in that video was at all offensive or challenged their integrity as people or insulted them personally or did anything like that? It's all on the subject, and a perfectly reasonable description of why the evidence appears the way it does. So anyway, it's just so bad. You know, they're, you know, they think they've won when, yes, all they've done is do everything they can to cheat, to avoid a fair fight, and to do it again, you know, just like the trolls, pretending they're wearing some sort of white hat and they're protecting the integrity of the truth. That's again, where is that? These exact bullshit words. We have found. Yeah, we have found. You are promoting content that is false or misguided. Well, you don't have to demonstrate that with an argument. You don't have to prove it with something. You can just say it. Wow. That is just so weak. So anyway, so comments. Just to pad out the video a little bit. The idea of lost light. So this is on the two-slit kind of stuff. The idea of lost light from interference is a little retarded. Yeah, well, they don't say that overtly because they can't, you know, they don't want to talk about it, is the simple thing. Because, yeah, isn't consistent with wave theory if you have to concede the photon moves right or moves left. See, that's not what waves do. Waves don't move the pressure one way or move the pressure another way. So, you know, that's no fun for them because that's not wavy. When you get diffraction with photography from a smaller aperture, you only lose resolution based on the larger side of the corpuscles. That, yeah, that's what it says. The size of the corpuscles that is formed from what they call the Ari disk. Yeah, so you're just saying you're zooming in, you're zooming the image, something like that. You don't actually lose any light. No light is canceled out. Yes, well, you know, it seems kind of obvious. You only lose light from making the aperture smaller. Right. So less opening, you lose that much light. You don't lose light from interference. Wouldn't this be the same phenomenon? Right? Can I just prove the argument wrong? Well, like I say, they don't argue that because they know if you push them to shove, they'll concede, okay, yeah, there's no photon plus photon equals no photon. There's no photons destroyed. You know, there's no energy canceling. You know, but they don't really want to talk about it because then they have to admit that, oh yeah, it's not much like a wave at all. Just by closing my aperture one stop, and if it loses one measurable stop of light and no more, then no light is lost during diffraction, a single slit experiment. Yes. Like I said, the point isn't proving it, because it's already, I think, proven by the fact that no one's proven the light's been lost, obviously. Somebody would have noticed it by now. So, but again, it's not their direct assertion. They're just relying on it as a kind of assumption that this is the same as waves, when it's, you know, any fact that is inconsistent with waves, they just ignore. Hey Gary, honest question. So this is Dick Woodman on the contest video. How do you have 3K to drop on something like this? Well, how's that any of your business? But yeah, I don't live my life hand to mouth. So even though I'm incredibly poor, I'm smart enough to have some cash just in case something happens. So, like, unlike you potheads, I don't just squander my existence. I don't just piss money away. I'm not like a reckless dirtbag. Okay. It seems frivolous. Well, I don't know how it's frivolous. It's physics. I think physics is completely wrong-founded. And it's like kind of hugely important. It's like, do you think it would be frivolous if somebody, like, if some religion had in some cheaty way destroyed the theory of evolution? Do you think it would be stupid for somebody to have a contest where they say, oh, come on, I'm going to try to, reclaim the solid ground by proving their evidence is garbage? You think that would be a waste of somebody's time? I mean, the truth just doesn't matter to you, right? You stupid, smelly dirtbag. But I feel like I'm probably not getting something. Yeah, you can't do the simplest logic, as this points out. Why are you doing this? Oh, I'm doing it because, like most of my ideas and solutions, it's win-win. See, I don't have to pay $3,000 today. I would be paying the $3,000 when 10 people on that list have accepted my theory, which means that I'm going to be kind of famous by then. I mean, maybe incredibly famous by then. And raising $3,000 would be like this much work. Idiot. And then the contest is $3,000. So yeah, obviously the people the person who gets the money is going to be saying, yeah, it was a great idea, Gary. They're going to win. So I mean, who exactly loses here? Except you little small-dicked, resentful people. You little naysaying, nitpicking, pothead shitbrains. Who the fuck loses except for you? Because you can't just do your little trivial commentary and ask your retarded questions and do it in some sort of reasonable way. Yeah, there's nothing reasonable. It's a completely unreasonable position. I mean, the fact that you can't figure out, I don't have to pay the money from my impoverished condition, and it'd be very unlikely that I would still be highly impoverished once I get 10 people on that list to say, I have the right theory, you idiot. You're too stupid to figure that out on your own? Dumb fuck. Alright, why so many dislikes on this one? So yes, a bunch of dislikes on a description of magnetism that I challenge anybody to say, yeah, that sounds just about perfect. Go ahead, show me somebody who can say how there's something in that video that just is fundamentally can't be right. There's nothing in that video that can't be right. They're just weasels, cowards, pathetic cowards. By applying friction to a non-magnetized iron piece in a single direction, such as rubbing two nails together, it's not really friction. What it is vibrations, agitations. It's a little deeper than just friction. The point is you have to shake the whole thing. You know what I mean? You have to shake it. All the domains have to be jiggled. Friction can just be a surface phenomenon. A magnet will be created. Not a very good one. Okay, so unless you're rubbing it against another magnet or stroking it, you have to do it a certain way. If you don't do it a certain way, you won't get much out of it. Because it's really about aligning domains at this. It's like aligning iron filings. You have to jiggle the paper a certain way. You jiggle it too much, you're not going to get anything. You jiggle it too little, you get nothing. So the whole idea is to align them. So you want to shake them just enough to make them loose, and then you want to move them or vibrate them in a way that, you know, where they'll jiggle into each other. Oh yeah, I like that. You know. So there's no the friction isn't what's creating the magnetism. The magnetism is being created, you know, the transfer of it, and that's what it really is a transfer. Because like I can't just put a bunch of nails in a bag and then shake it up and all the nails come out magnetic. That's not going to work, because it's just going to be just as random as the environment. So it's just going to randomize the domains. It's not going to magnetize the domains. It's not going to align them. Atoms become aligned inside the solid material. Right, well, they're not going to do that with random friction. It has to be specific kinds of friction or agitation. So the field, as a whole, is a micro-reflection from the micro-state of the aligned electron orbits, question mark. Well, I don't think it's the electron orbits. As I pointed out before, it has to do with the fact that we know that this alignment only happens where atoms are already dipoles. So all you're doing is changing the orientation of the atom itself. You're changing where the relationship between the orbiting the electron and the proton. There's parts of the atoms where they're closer together, and part of the atom where they're further apart, and all you're doing is aligning that compass needle. The electron force is magnified, wrong, thereby extending the influence past the material body's surface, question mark. No. So nothing, the only thing that's magnified is the fact that when the force is going to travel through the material, it's not going to take all the misguided turns. So when you have the atoms aligned, it means that if there's a vibration, if there's force moving, it will move consistently through the magnet in one way. So say if a red force comes in, it will, once it gets on the black track will push it straighter, faster. So it won't take a bunch of right turns. So that's the alignment, just means that more of the stuff that comes in makes a perpendicular change in its direction, and less of it is lost through more perpendicular wasted codicils. You're getting rid of the codicils. You're getting rid of the traps. So the force more easily and more efficiently travels through the magnet, and therefore it becomes a filter. The red stuff goes down, the black stuff goes up. Kind of a thing. Appreciate the question marks, because at least it doesn't sound like you were stating something. 9/11. If you want to defeat physics, whatever, since it became weird, it's not a very technical remark. I'm saying, it became weird. Well, the point is, it didn't grow a brain. So once Newton died, brain died. Nobody after Newton was born with a usable brain, is what it comes down to. Is it took like forever for us to do anything with all the Newton stuff Newton already discovered. And every conclusion we drew, where we had a 50-50 chance of getting the right answer, we got the wrong answer. Push, pull, wrong answer. Plus, minus, wrong answer. You could just go down the list. Wrong answer, wrong answer. How'd they calculate the path of the particles is one of the weakest links. I don't know what video this is. I really, this time code stuff is just so bullshit. I mean, you can't, if you're going to write a comment, just quote what I say, or fuck it. This idea that somebody has to rewatch the fucking video to understand what the fuck you're talking about is just such horseshit. As I just pointed out, people get hundreds of thousands of views for humiliating flat earthers. For picking the lowest, ripest... I don't know how this could possibly be relevant to anything. It could mean anything. It's not a debatable subject, that part. What are you wasting my time for? Fuck. If you want to, since it became weird... How they calculate the path of the particles is one of their weakest links. I don't... How so? I don't think there's that much wrong with their vector math. As I'm pointing out in the magnetism argument, there's nothing wrong with the vectors that Maxwell drew. They're perfectly correct. His understanding that some ether is making it happen, that part's wacky. It is in field theory. Yeah, what else says you, Bob? One more useful spot to attack, says you. Modern physics is with the history of Hugh Everett. Oh man, you are just so useless. I mean, now just useless name-dropping bullshit. And why he was kicked out of college back in the 70s, I think it was. Oh, so you're not even sure. You think some great event in the history of physics happened, and you don't even know when it was. I mean, this just sounds like more Tesla mythology. You know, let's pretend, you know, Tesla invented the vacuum cleaner. He didn't even do that. They don't even use Tesla motors in vacuum cleaners. I mean, get real, people. Yeah, I guess I don't need to do this one. Oh, man, you people are just so pathetic. Let's see who this Hugh Everett douche is. Well, Hugh Everett the Third. Parallel worlds, parallel lives. Oh, that sounds just so fucking idiotic. So you're just basically saying you're some sort of multiverse kooker. Something for which there's zero evidence of it ever existing. Ever. So yeah, man, there's not too many Hughes, but it's already given me John. So, what the fuck? It's a music video. Great. Alright, whatever. I mean, fuck you. I don't even know what to say to this kind of bullshit commenting. So Bob, do better than this or I'll just delete you next time. This is just such useless shit. You couldn't even post a link to who this fucking Hugh Everett is supposed to be and why he was important. And you actually think everybody knows who he is. You actually think if I walked down the street and asked 1,000 fucking people, one of them would know who he is. Besides you. What just a douchey move. Fucking idiotic comment. Alright. Oh, this is so pathetic. I deserve better than this. I deserve something better than this to argue with. Fuck. Anyway. Alright, I guess that's it. There's nothing else. Alright, so just another day on shitty Earth with a bunch of fucking fake intellectuals who don't have any fucking balls or integrity. Fucking cowards everywhere. Disgusting. Fucking humans. Fascist bastards. And such.